Hello, and welcome back, friends. It's been a while. I feel like I start every video with, hey, it's been a while, sorry. But you know what? When I'm here, I am here, and I'm ready to give you guys lots of new Pinterest content. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Gabby Pinkerton, and I am an adventurous wedding planner for destination weddings that are not happening right now. So I've actually pivoted and done a full 180. And while we're still running the wedding business, I'm also doing some Pinterest marketing for wedding pros. So it's something that in my own business, we grew a ton on Pinterest, and we both get inquiries and lots of traffic back to our website that we monetize in different ways. So I have lots of binge-worthy Pinterest content if you haven't already browsed my channel. But today, we're talking about something a little bit different, and I will still tie to how to monetize this for your wedding business. And we're talking about Clubhouse. So if you've never heard of Clubhouse, or you maybe started hearing about it and you're like, what is this app, and do I have to be on another platform? And sure, we could totally call it a social media platform, but today I'm actually going to tell you what Clubhouse is, why I think you should be on it, and I guess what type of businesses or entrepreneurs should be on it, what type of content you can get from Clubhouse, maybe some of the issues that we find Clubhouse has right now, or its limitations, and then how to monetize it, right? Because I've actually now made several $1,000s off of Clubhouse, and I've been on Clubhouse, I think, about a month, if not less. I've significantly slowed down my Clubhouse participation because it's a lot of work, but I think you guys can really do well on there too, especially if you're a wedding pro, and if you're watching this because you stumbled upon my channel with Pinterest content, this can still be good for you if you are a creative. So without further ado, let's dive in. Okay, so what is Clubhouse? Clubhouse is basically a new app that we could call a social media platform that is exclusively used by voice, right? So the concept of it is that you can jump into a room, which you have a series of kind of rooms that all have a title to it. So what are we talking about in this room? And you click on it, and you can be a listener, or you can raise your hand, like on the app, raise your hand and come up to the stage to speak. And what's interesting about it is it turns out, I think it launched several years ago and it totally flopped because it wasn't the right time. But now that everybody's at home and we're in our pajamas most of the day and we don't really want to put on makeup in order to be on camera, this app is really interesting for this time now, because people can easily just be chit-chatting and doing whatever they're doing, right? Chores. I've heard a lot of people are apparently in the shower or in the bathtub while they're on Clubhouse. So to each their own. But you can be both a listener and get a ton of amazing content, or you can really be a contributor. And what's cool about it is that anybody can start a room. Anybody can start a topic, whether you are an expert at that topic or it's just something you are interested in talking about. So it's very open in that sense, right? And it's very inclusive in how people can participate. So it's not judging you on, we're not pointing at you in the crowd to say, hey, it's your turn to speak. You can choose to come up or not. Now, I will say there are some limitations. It is for iPhone users only, and that is a huge bummer because up till about a few months ago, my husband and I were Android users for the last 6 or 7 years. It just was a fluke that we switched, and that's when kind of Clubhouse was booming, so I got in. Now, that's a big downside to Clubhouse right now. I'm sure because they're still in beta that they're gonna open that up to Android users. I mean, at this point, they have to. Now, the other thing is, there's no closed captioning, and that is a huge problem for anybody who has hearing problems, right? So if you cannot hear, that's an issue because you cannot listen to what's happening. So it would be really, really awesome if they came out with some type of way to write what everybody is saying, so you can hear what or you can read what the conversation is that's happening. So that's the thing. There's no messaging. There's no way to kind of be inclusive in that sense. So that's a big downside to the app. The other thing that is, I guess, a good and bad thing about the app is you cannot record sessions. Now, at first I was like, darn, like that was, whether we were hosting a room and talking about Pinterest tips, it would have been so cool to have the audio from that in order to turn it into a freebie or turn it into an audio part for a blog post or whatever it is, right? Repurposing content, because I think we're all about that these days. On the flip side, I think it's actually pretty amazing that you cannot record a session. And in fact, I accidentally was screen recording something and I opened the app, the Clubhouse app, and I got this notification. It's like, you cannot record, this is your warning. And I was like, oh my God, sorry. So be very careful. And by the way, they give you a warning, they don't kick you out right away, but one warning was plenty for me. Now, the reason I say it's also kind of a cool thing that you can't record is that people who are hosting rooms or participating as a speaker in a room are being super open, right? They're being raw, there's no fluff in these conversations. Like whether you are listening in on a business conversation or on a personal matter conversation or, social issues, political conversations, whatever that is, people are not holding back. They are being very raw and very open. And I think that is actually really amazing because so far, and again, this is my own experience with Clubhouse, so far I haven't been in any rooms that were spewing hate or hating on other people. There are certainly some people who tend to monopolize a conversation at times, and that's why there are moderators in rooms. Okay, so your Clubhouse bio is fully searchable, which is really cool. And what that means is when you go in the top left corner of the app, there's a little kind of person emoji with a plus sign, and you can either search people by name if you know they're on Clubhouse, or you can search by topic. And the way you're gonna find people, like-minded people, or topics that you're interested in is by filling out your own bio. So I'll show you here a screenshot of what my bio looks like. And I basically put topics that I both speak about, but that I'm also personally interested in. And some of it is like homesteading and gardening. Because you know what? If there's a room that pops up that's about gardening 101 for spring, heck yeah, I'm gonna go. I think that's actually really interesting. So don't think that the app is only about business. There are so many different conversations happening. In fact, one time I popped into a room about cults. I thought that was really interesting. There's only 4 of us in the room, but that's what it is sometimes. It's a small intimate groups that you have like really good random conversations. Now, there are also groups that are like thousands of people, and to me, those ones are a little overwhelming. They tend to have big names in those groups, so that is one other benefit to Clubhouse is you have almost direct access to celebrities, business, gurus that you admire, and politicians, like you name it. I've heard there's auditions happening on Clubhouse, so listen, there is any and all topic under the sun. Now, I want to talk specifically about how I monetized Clubhouse. And like I said, I'd have to actually calculate how much money I've made, but I have made a few $100s from Pinterest audits, my paid Pinterest audits. I've also enrolled a couple people in our monthly reoccurring Pinterest management program. So over the course of a year, that will add up to several $1,000s. And I want to kind of tell you what I've been doing. So first thing is obviously I completed my bio. I made sure that I placed myself as an expert for Pinterest as well as wedding planning topics. So I sometimes get invited to speak in other rooms because people are like, oh my God, we're talking about marketing. Gabby, will you come and talk about Pinterest? Absolutely. And what happens when I am invited to speak is that I'll be on the stage, I'll be labeled as maybe a moderator, and what people will do is they'll click on my face and they'll start following my profile. And what will happen is that anytime I am speaking in a room or I am hosting a room on Clubhouse, anybody who's following me will get notified. Hey, Gabby is speaking about Pinterest in this room, or Gabby is speaking about gardening in this room, right? So it doesn't matter the topic. If I am in a room, people are going to get notified that I'm there. So that's really cool, because as a user, if I loved somebody's content, then I can go and make sure I'm following them, and anytime they are speaking in a room, I want to hear what they have to say, because they've been dropping so much good information on Clubhouse. Like I said, nobody's holding back. It is raw information and really good secrets, if you're asking me. So I can pop in and see and listen in, and I can come and go as I please. Nobody really knows if you're coming and going unless there's like only 3 people in the room and you leave, they're gonna know, but who cares? That's what happens. So that's one way. You can be invited into a room, position yourself as an expert, get followers on your account, and then the more you speak, the more you can encourage people to DM you on Instagram. So at the bottom of your Clubhouse bio, you can link Twitter and you can link Instagram. That is the only way people can actually reach out to you via like some type of conversation or text. So I say, hey, go to my profile and click on my Instagram and just shoot me a DM if you have Pinterest questions, you want to hire me for an audit, you want my freebie, whatever it is, that is where the conversation starts. So I've gotten a lot of things that way. The other way is, of course, the main way is to host your own room. So if you are positioning yourself as an expert like I do with Pinterest, I host my own rooms sometimes. Sometimes I host them by myself. Sometimes I bring in a co-host and we have the conversation back and forth. It's always free flowing, and we invite people to come up to the stage, ask your Pinterest questions, ask them also specifically about your account, because this is really me giving back to the community with free one-on-one consulting time, right? Like, I am not charging people to be in a Clubhouse, but in return, I would love for you to follow me, right? So you kind of build that up as you go. And I will say you don't get you do get followers pretty quickly. I will take that back. You get followers pretty quickly, and you get people who, if you are consistent with your messaging and you are hosting rooms regularly, you'll see those same faces come back. And it's the whole concept of you want to, like, know, and trust. You want them to like, know, and trust you, and then maybe they'll purchase. But hey, some people will never purchase, and that's okay. If I've sent them home with like one really good piece of advice, awesome. Maybe they'll recommend me to somebody down the road, or maybe a couple years from now, they'll be in a place financially where they want to hire me or my services. So that I found has worked really well. The other thing I've personally done, and this was, I would say this was really great for kind of low-hanging fruit, quick cash, right? I hosted Pinterest audits in a room. So what I would do is I would name my room Free Pinterest Audits for Wedding Pros. I make it very niche market, because it's also what I know best is wedding industry, Pinterest content. So I don't want to put myself in a situation where someone is looking for an audit for like this tech thing on Pinterest and I like know nothing about it, right? Share information with what you're good at. Don't try to cover it for everybody and everything. So I hosted a Pinterest audit room. I got dozens of people coming in, and they each get about 15 minutes where I bring my laptop, I ask them for their name, who their ideal client is, and what their Pinterest URL is. And from there, I go over to their Pinterest account and I just kind of voice what I think I would recommend that they change. Now, the caveat here, not a caveat, but like the strategy behind giving free content, but also getting paid for some of this as well, is I give them a snapshot of what my full audit would be, right? And then I say, hey, for anybody who like really benefited from these audits, whether you got audited today or you were just listening in and making the changes on your own, if you want a deeper dive into this audit, send me a DM on Instagram and I'll send you the link to my paid audit. I give them like a fun discount. I say, hey, because you guys are on Clubhouse, message me the word Clubhouse and you'll get this audit for like $47, right? And that has worked. I've gotten like a handful of them every time I do that. And listen, if I make $100 in a day or $200 in a day, well worth the hour that I spent on Clubhouse. Now, the last thing I will say about this is know your boundaries. So the first 2 weeks I was on Clubhouse, I was obsessed, like nonstop on Clubhouse, like all day, every day. I got no work done in my regular job. I was on Clubhouse. Was I getting new clients? Yeah, I was actually bringing in some sales, so it wasn't lost. But I had to set some boundaries for myself. One was I max out my rooms at 1 hour. You guys, there are rooms that go on for days. There was this one room about like the top motivating, or the top, what was it? Successful tips for like overachievers or something like, I don't know what it was. But that went on for like 5 days. Like I would go to sleep and the next morning I saw the room was still going. Of course they rotate moderators, but they like never close down the room. I don't recommend that. If you're just starting out, set yourself a maximum and tell people when you're starting the room, like, hey, by the way, this room's gonna go on for an hour, but if you love this content, make sure to follow us and we'll maybe do one next week. So set your boundaries with the length of the room. The other thing is turn your notifications off for the app. There are several kind of ways you can do it. You can set the notification as very frequent, not frequent, and totally like infrequent. So something like that. But I set mine, I slowly made my way down and now I'm at infrequent or none at all because it is very distracting. You are getting pinged to come into rooms. And I think it's fair to put on your own calendar maybe a couple 30-minute blocks here and there throughout your week where you do want to go in on Clubhouse and participate. And then if you schedule your own rooms, then block that out on your calendar too. But overall, I would say it is an amazing app. And who I think this is really beneficial for is anybody who is in the education space, right? If you are wanting to monetize the app and you have a product or a service to sell, you guys, this is the place to be. But I'm telling you, you've got to be raw and open. None of this fluff stuff, right? None of these webinars where you just kind of blah, blah, fluff, and then you kind of give some tips at the end. This is raw information. You've got to hook them from the beginning because people will be gone in a second if they're not interested in what you're saying. So be very transparent about your information. The other thing is if you are a new wedding pro, like I'm specifically talking about wedding industry, obviously, but like you guys know, I'm also in a few other rooms. Like I dabble in the investment property rooms where I just listen in. I have nothing to contribute, or sometimes I might ask a question, but I am listening in. So if you're a new wedding pro, you guys, the top wedding industry educators are on Clubhouse and they are spilling the beans, right? So if you want to go, bring a notebook and paper, follow all those top names and pop in to rooms that they're speaking in. Now, not only that, but this is again like your chance to get one-on-one information from them. So raise your hand, don't be shy, because nobody can see you, nobody's gonna make fun of you. A question is a question, and a lot of other people sometimes are too shy to ask that very same question, so you're doing them a favor by asking. So, I hope that was helpful to kind of explain what Clubhouse is, why I think it is a great app right now. It obviously has its limitations. It's not accessible for everybody. But if you're in the wedding education space where you want to learn about wedding education, or God, Pinterest, again, any topic, it's a great place to be. Know your boundaries. You can follow me on Clubhouse. My name is GabbyP, and I'll link that down below. What else do I want to say? Oh my gosh, you guys. I have 5 invites right now, Clubhouse invites. So if you are not on the app and you have an iPhone and want to be invited, comment below. The first 5 people to comment are going to get the invite. So don't forget, don't miss out. Comment, subscribe if you like this content, if this was helpful, and I'll catch you guys on Clubhouse, right? And see you here next week.